Now, you're watching Friday Night Blitz on Newswatch 12.
It's finally here. The preseason special is back after a 2-year hiatus. Along with it comes the return of high school football. We just talked college. We're going to move to high school. We're supposed to get a little bit of football yesterday with jamborees, but those were canceled because of the smoke. That's okay, though. The preseason special marches along just fine. Thanks for joining us once again. I'm Cameron Derby.
And I'm Josh Shelton. The two of us could not be more excited to tell you about the upcoming fall season. The only people more excited are the players, so let's get to it. Let's start with the defending Southwest Conference champions, the South Medford Panthers. They're coming off an undefeated league season and a win in the Black and Blue Bowl. They graduated some important players to their squad this year, but the team remains dedicated. As for the seniors, they're looking forward to a senior fall season.
I think we're all just really excited and ready to get back on the field again. It hasn't been super long, but we've been in the weight room and we've been on the field practicing as much as possible to get ready.
We kind of have a small senior class, so if we are able to show whatsoever to help them build for next year, I think that's kind of the main goal.
A lot of indoor practices for South to start, but they feel ready for that first game.
For the Panthers' rivals, a new era begins after Steven Turner hangs up the headset following the spring season. A familiar face takes over the Black Tornado football program in Nathan Chin. The former SOU associate head coach and assistant at Crater High School will lead North Medford this season. The transition to the head coaching role has been pretty painless.
It's been smooth. I think one of the biggest things that probably really helped me was what it is working with Coach Brown over at Crater and that staff. It really gave me a framework of and a thought process of how to go about a high school program as well.
Chin and his team are looking to build off a solid campaign. One thing he's looking forward to is the rivalry game against South later this season. North gets first dibs on Spiegelberg Stadium. They'll open up the season against Del Norte this coming Friday.
South hits the road to face McNary. Panthers trying to keep some of that momentum going from the spring. Last, but certainly not least, of the local 6A schools, the Grants Pass Cavemen. They're coming off a pretty successful year that if one or two possessions go their way, they end up with a 6-0 conference winning spring. But their losses against the Medford schools were by a touchdown or less, including a 1-point loss to South in overtime. Plenty to build off of this fall.
It's been pretty exciting, going into your senior year is a big thing. I feel like I just got off a football season with us playing in spring, so it's been great. It feels like it hasn't ended, and you're just slowly building to get better.
Mellingham Field on a Friday night, there's not too many places in the state that are better, if any, that are better than this place, and so I'm really excited about that.
The Cavemen will have to wait a week to get that feeling. They hit the road in a week 1 to go to Bend. 6A could be very competitive again this season, especially locally. In the spring, we had a very local schedule, and Crater was the team holding their own against some of these 6A schools.
Yeah, they beat South Medford to open the season, and on top of that, their only 2 losses were 1-score games against Grants Pass and North Medford. This year, though, the team looks a lot different than they did in the spring. A larger class of 2021 leaves just 6 seniors on the Comets squad this year. That puts a lot of the team's leadership on just a handful of guys, head coach Burke Brown says, but he has all the confidence in them to lead this younger Comets team.
There isn't a whole lot of seniors this year, at least not compared to recent years, and so our goal is to just make the toughest team out of a younger group of guys.
Obviously win a state championship, but we got to put pieces together, got to have some young guys step up for that. Just got to see where we're going to go, yeah.
Exactly where they're going to start this season, the Comets venture out to the coast for a Saturday afternoon kickoff against North Bend next week. Down the road in Eagle Point, the Eagles are in their 3rd year with Eric Johnson at the helm. For his program, that means he's getting his first senior class that's been with him on a varsity team for 3 seasons. It's a chance to show how much these seniors have improved since joining the program and the advancement of the Eagles football team as a whole.
Just taking advantage of every snap I have left with all my friends and all my brothers out there, because last year, never know if you're going to be playing ball anymore. So making the best out of it for sure.
The atmosphere, the tempo is just different than what it has been the past 2 years, whether it's the restrictions or not before, whatever it is, but now it's just different because of that experience and the buy-in from the players and staff.
They'll play at Churchill next Friday to start the fall season.
Now we move to a team that is going to be really fresh in the 2021 season. Ashland High School only played a JV season in the spring, but there will be likely some rust, I should say, that comes with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And where the Grizzlies lack size, they have plenty of coaching. Bo Leonard's normally finds a way to take a roster that's small in numbers and make it play like a big boy team. But Ashland has really been bogged down by the wildfire smoke outside. Ashland has been struggling to find time to teach contact tackling, so Bo Leonard has been focused on getting the team conditioned up. They'll have a lot of players that played in that spring JV season, but tons of freshmen as well. Getting guys in the right place will be key.
It's huge, and I mean, like, I don't want to, there's so much going on still in our world with the pandemic and stuff, and so I don't want to say this is the biggest thing in the world, but like I said, we got young kids that haven't played tackle football since 7th grade, and we do as much as we can to simulate game speed situations, as much tackling that we can do within reason, but it's big, and so we're watching a lot of film, we're doing a lot of chalk talk, walking through things, and so when we get that opportunity to get outside and go full speed.
Ashland starts their season with a pair of home games. Up first is a foe from the Basin and the Henley Hornets, two teams that will know each other well. They do know each other well. And then the Bulldogs of North Bend travel down from Coos Bay to Ashland. Another big-time matchup for the Grizz to start off their first varsity season in 2 years. Still to come on the Friday Night Blitz preseason special, we're talking 4A football. Mazama coming off a great spring. Can they repeat in the fall? We'll talk more next.
And then we'll check out some of our smaller but no less important schools in the area. Some big seasons shaping up this fall. It's all coming up in just a few minutes.
Newswatch 12's Friday Night Blitz preseason special. Welcome back to Friday Night Blitz on Newswatch 12.
Our football talk takes us to a defending state championship team. This year, the Mazama Vikings are going to have to do it without the loads of talent that they had last year, like wide receiver Cole Brosterhouse.
Well, head coach Vic Lease is one of those guys that, though he's not going to look for any breaks. He certainly won't brag about that title either. Mazama really learned how dynamic those receivers were in the spring season. Those receivers stretched the defenses out so much, it really opened up holes in the run game. Mazama had a pick-your-poison kind of offense going on. Now, the Vikings will shift gears this season to a more traditional run-first style behind explosive speed in the backfield.
We're going to have a better running game this year than we did last year. We have tremendous speed in the backfield, the kind of speed I've never had in 25 years. I have two of the fastest kids in my backfield in Brandon Gailey and Aiden Kent. They're two of the top 100-meter sprinters in the state of Oregon right now.
Mazama will start the title defense outside of the Basin. Long trip to Marshfield for the Vikings. We'll have score updates for you on Friday night once it gets underway.
The Basin is always full of football talent. With how close these teams are to one another, rivalries are heated no matter the season.
Yeah, we certainly saw that in the spring during the Canal Bowl between Mazama and Klamath Union. Speaking of the Pelicans, they're looking to jumpstart their fall season with a young core of players. Coming off a 2-1 league spring, Klamath Union is in a good spot to keep on building. 10 seniors return of the 26-man roster, and head coach Tom Smith likes the development he's seen from this group. They'll be put to the test early. First 3 games are on the road. Woodburn, Burns, and then North Eugene before their first home game in week 4. Mental toughness tested early for KU.
Now, as for the final Basin team, we could see a really good Henley Hornets team this season. An interesting relationship between the coach and the quarterback. They're actually brothers, and that's a pretty rare thing to see on a football team.
Yeah, Bo Stark set to play quarterback for the Hornets. They went 3-2 in the spring season. They're looking to be a balanced team offensively.
Colson Higgins got carries last year for us, and as did Garrett Northcutt. They'll be our featured backs this year. We typically will rotate our running backs every 3 plays or so. So expect those guys to get a lot of carries for us this fall.
We have even more preview going on this game, Henley and Ashland, coming up in our show later on because it's the game of the week. So make sure to stick with the preseason special for a little bit longer. Hidden Valley will turn to Vidlac, not Sam, Nate Vidlac. The brother of Oregon State quarterback Sam will take over signal caller duties this season as the Mustangs look to push for a state title bid. They went 4-0 in the spring and welcome a new head coach. Mike Fanger takes the reins after spending 2 years as Tigers offensive coordinator. First 2 Friday night games for the Mustangs look like this. Hit the road in week 1 to take on Elmira. Then the Mustangs faithful get to cheer on the team from the homestands on September 10th. That game with Elmira actually just recently canceled, so we're going to keep following that for you, but lots of opportunity for the fans of Grants Pass football in Hidden Valley.
Yeah, for their neighbors to the north, a bit of a slow start to the high school season. The Knights were dealing with multiple COVID quarantine issues.
Yeah, but they say they're ready. They're going to roll out with their first game in less than a week.
We're happy with where we're at right now. Numbers, it's kind of a numbers battle right now. We're not quite where we would like to be, and I think a lot of programs are in that same boat right now. But, love our kids. They're out there. They're working hard, and, we just need to stay on the field, avoid the quarantine stuff, and we need to stay healthy. If we can do those things, we're going to be all right.
North Valley is set to open the year at St. Mary's in Medford, but smoke could change that. We'll keep tabs on it as we go along. And staying with 4A, the Phoenix Pirates had a rough spring season, but they're looking to avenge that.
Yeah, they're going to try and do that with a brand new head coach. Phoenix struggled mightily in the spring, but Mike Robinson comes over from St. Mary's, where he was an assistant coach, to try to change that. It comes at an important time, as this team is less than a year removed from the devastation of the Alameda fire. The stands should be packed at Phoenix Talent Rising Field for opening night, a community that could really use a win.
Phoenix will open the season at home. The Pirates take on Sutherland and look to get a win on the new Phoenix Talent Rising Field. They have highlights, of course, coming up this week on the Friday Night Blitz.
Coming up on this edition of the Blitz, we have moved that conversation to the 3A world, including the challengers competing for a state championship. Find out more when you stick with us. Then we're going to preview our Game of the Week. Ashland hasn't been on the Game of the Week since 2019, but what will Henley do to challenge the Grizzlies? It's all next on the Friday Night Blitz preseason special.
Newswatch 12's Friday Night Blitz on Newswatch 12.
Welcome back into the Friday Night Blitz preseason special. We are just chugging along, and we're going to move to a program now that always seems to be chugging along, the Cascade Christian Challengers. It doesn't really seem to matter how much this roster sees turnover, how short preseason camp is. They always find a way to be successful.
Every season, you got that right. John Getman has this team competing for state title year in and year out. And it doesn't look like things will change even in the slightest in 2021. The Challengers will have some new faces. Keith Reed will play quarterback. He's a 6'3" junior, and he throws the ball with some zip. During practices, players have told us that he throws it with power, and it's something they're starting to get used to. Cascade has had several practices canceled, but Getman's team keeps fighting through the challenges.
It feels like football season now. The spring, our first practices were in rain. First game was pouring. It's totally different than, this feels like football. It's hot. The expectations, kids come, work hard, enjoy the time that we have together, and enjoy every moment. Going through last year teaches you to just enjoy the stuff that you take for granted.
Cascade Christian will have really reliable offensive and defensive lines. The Challengers will use that experience to cushion the skill players that are still kind of catching up. The Challengers will face the challenge of going on the road for week 1. Cascade will take on Lapine on Friday night. They had one road trip in the spring. They beat South Umpqua 37-0. So the road bug may not be so much of a problem here. Either way, we'll update you on the score on the Friday Night Blitz next week. For the Challengers' rivals, it's a good mix of players. Head coach Jamie Young says this group's experience ranges widely, which should bode well for success and development. The team is overall young, but the atmosphere for all the players is the same. Excitement to be playing this fall through the rough year.
And this group of kids, it ranges between kids who are just starting their football career, and then we have a senior group, a small senior group that has playoff experience. And so it's a nice mix, and I love the way our leadership of our football team is developing, and the focus of our young kids. So it's been a breath of fresh air, really.
St. Mary's is set to open the year against North Valley at U.S. Cellular. Smoke could force this game out of the Valley. We'll keep watching out for you.
Unfortunately for Brookings Harbor fans, there won't be any Bruins football for the high schoolers there. We were able to confirm it was due to the numbers in the program, but there's a possibility some football gets played out there. Some coaches have floated the idea of moving games to the coast if smoke smothers the Valley. We'll keep you posted if schedules change.
Football team numbers are always something to keep an eye on, especially at smaller schools.
Rogue River is one of those 2A schools in the area and is also dealing with a slight numbers dilemma, but they've got enough to play for the Chieftains, and that's what matters. Every single player will be busy this season, especially now with just 15 players able to practice as of earlier this week. But there is hope on the horizon. Some players will return in a few days, and when school starts, the players hope that they can find more of their fellow classmates to join the Chieftains squad. But this core group is strong and tight-knit.
I'm looking forward to being able to be back out there with my brothers, all my friends, all the people I've grown up with, seeing all of them out there again. Despite having lack of a few numbers, we're all going to be together again, and it's still going to be a blast.
As soon as school starts back up, it's going to be a lot of, asking around and telling people to come out to the team. But even if we don't get anyone else, I'm happy with the core people that we have.
Bonanza next Friday night at 7. Speaking of that game, here's the look at some of the other schools' graphics of what we got going for that first game. Bonanza, like we mentioned, is going to be at Rogue River, and then Gold Beach is also playing Friday night. They're going to be playing in a tournament, so we don't know who they're going to play just yet, but we'll keep you updated as we get more information on that. For the next group, Illinois Valley and Salem Academy, the Cougars going on the road for Illinois Valley, and then Coquille will head down to Lakeview as Lakeview and the Honkers get ready to play in their first game.
Still to come on the Friday Night Blitz preseason special Game of the Week talk, a full preview of next week's Ashland and Henley clash, the final stretch of the night in just a moment.
Newswatch 12's Friday Night Blitz preseason special.
The final stretch of the Friday Night Blitz preseason special. We've been at it for a full hour, but wow, we have so much football in the local area, we could just keep kind of going and going and going.
No need to stop. Next week kicks off our Friday Night Blitz coverage, which will continue over the next 13 weeks. We will literally be there for every moment this season provides. Football in the fall, finally back. So what is in store for next week's Blitz? Do you feel that wind picking up? North Medford opens the season at Spiegelberg, taking on Del Norte. Highlights to come on the Blitz.
Our Game of the Week, Henley visits Ashland, the Basin, looking to crash the Rogue Valley party a little bit. Ashland hasn't played a varsity schedule since 2019. More on that in just a moment. Phoenix will play in front of a full crowd for the first time on the Phoenix Talent Rising Field. A very special night for that community. We're going to be there for the highlights.
And then there's North Valley's Jamboree. That was canceled yesterday, so hopefully its game versus St. Mary's does not get canceled for smoke as well. St. Mary's and North Valley open up at U.S. Cellular, but of course, the Blitz will cover that no matter where it's played.
Bonanza and Rogue River will open the Friday Night Blitz as well. We have a little two-way treat happening on the Blitz next week. We're going to be up there for Rogue River and Bonanza kickoff at 7 o'clock per usual.
Okay, you promised us last night that you're going to be able to let us in on who will be joining you for the live broadcast for the Game of the Week between Henley and Ashland. Since I will be out grabbing highlights for all of the other games, I assume it's not me.
Well, right you are, sir. But don't worry, you're going to get your fair share of game calls this year, though. This week, I'm going to be joined by Greg White. He's the Ashland Middle School coach. This is a really cool opportunity because he's coached all of these kids on the Ashland team from a very young age, and he has really great insight into what those Ashland kids are like from a personality standpoint. What I can tell you right now about the Ashland kids is that they're very young, but their lack of experience during that JV schedule in the spring may not be too much to worry about. Henley head coach Alex Stork acknowledged this week that while Ashland normally is overpowered in size, they're usually right in the place that they need to be and making the right movements. Henley has the potential to be a high-powered offense. That means Ashland's defense will need to come prepared.
Be aggressive and just try to get those kids in the right place and play with our was going to say play with our hair on fire, but that seems like the wrong thing to say. But we want to fly around a little bit and create some havoc. And, we've got a lot of, like I said, athletes on the field, younger kids, a lot of places, but we want to, mix it up a little bit.
Henley actually played in the spring season. The Hornets went 3-2, but returned some good experience. Alex Stork is confident in how the Henley Hornets offense can operate.
Try to be balanced on offense, run the ball probably 60% of the time, pass the ball 40% of the time. We see ourselves being about that, maybe even a little more run heavy this year because we do have a quarterback that's more mobile. It's actually my youngest brother, Shaw Stork. He's a junior. He'll be our starting quarterback at game 1 against Ashland. He's been good in fall camp so far.
This will be really interesting to watch because both of these teams had to deal with wildfire smoke a lot. So Henley and Ashland alike, they're going to have to move inside for practice a lot. Both coaches, though, not making excuses and acknowledging it's something that really everyone's dealing with.
Yeah, we saw that yesterday. The jamboree we all expected Ashland to play in was canceled because of air quality. Now we're likely in for a first quarter full of breaking the rust off. You can watch that game of the week on KDRV Antenna TV Classics. That will be on Friday night at 7. Cameron on the call alongside Greg White, and we'll let you know who the following week's game of the week is on next week's Friday Night Blitz.
So when can you watch all of our football coverage as this season moves along? The Friday Night Blitz, as you just saw, covers everything high school football related. If there's a local game in town, we will be there. And when you're done with the game that you're at, you can come home and check the rest of the high school landscape.
Every Saturday, we turn around and do it for college football, but we do an hour of college football coverage. We start it at 8 or immediately after the late ABC game if the game runs longer than 8 o'clock. We really look forward to having you with us for the college football season.
Thanks so much for joining us and kicking off the 2021 season. We've been waiting a long time for it.